Hello and welcome to episode 122 of the Daily Sales Message, where each and every single day for the last 122 days in a row now, I've provided you with a piece of simple and actionable advice that's designed to help you feel more confident and sell more stuff. If you're new around here, my name is James Newell and I teach people how to sell for a living. For me, it comes in two distinct parts. You have to have a clear sales message. People actually got to understand what you're trying to sell to them. And secondly, you need selling confidence, the ability to be relaxed, comfortable and confident in a selling situation. In today's episode, 122, we're talking about something which I call the inevitable effect. And this is something that you can use when you're closing people and you're talking to people about making a decision and you're trying to reassure them that they're making the best decision for themselves. And in some industries, things happen and things change and it's inevitable. So whether you do it now or whether you do it later, it's kind of, this is how it's going to be. Whether something has changed legally in the legislation or whether it's a technological change, every business in the future is going to have a website. For example, it makes sense to do this now and be ahead of the curve. So it's inevitable you have to buy a website, Mr. Customer. So you might as well do it now, take control of it, be as ahead as possible, because you're going to be forced to do it anyway going forward. So depending on your product or your service you're offering, there may be a degree of inevitability to the things that you're talking about and things that you're helping with. If that is the case, it's a really interesting thing to bring up and to talk to people about, because when they feel like something is inevitable, then whilst you might feel like it takes the choice away from them, it's inevitable, they have to do it either way, it reminds them that there's an attractive element to being ahead of the curve and being in control. So whilst it's inevitable and you don't have control over something happening, if you can be ahead of it, then you do have control over it, which is a really interesting concept. It's about giving people control. So if that's applicable for your business, product or service, something that's happening in the future, your client can't avoid it, it's going to happen anyway, they might as well do it now and take control. It's a really powerful way of reframing something and selling to your buyer, closing your buyer. Well, that's it for this episode, 122 of the Daily Sales Message, the second ever video episode. So if you're listening to this, you won't see anything, of course. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I now film myself doing these podcasts. It'd be interesting to get your feedback on it. I was recommended to do this by a good friend of mine. We will see either way. As for tomorrow's episode, 123, we're going to be talking about future updates for your product or service and how we can use those when you're selling to buyers, when you're looking to retain buyers and keep them happy. There's a couple of things we can do there with future updates, but tune in tomorrow to check that out. In the meantime, if you haven't already connected with me on LinkedIn, then please do find me there. I'm quite active on the platform. It's always really nice to hear from listeners and viewers now of the Daily Sales Message. Thanks very much for your time and attention as always, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 123.